Will looks ready for the Phillies, who are the best team in baseball after 43 games or whatever it is. Will, instant reaction to how the season has gone so far for the Phillies.
Oh, wait, but to go back to the Pirates real quick. No, I'm kidding.
Shut
I'm
up.
kidding.
I hate you so much.
I could go back, but I'm not, because Phillies are the best team in baseball. I'm going to make sure you guys don't forget that, especially John, because the MLB.com has decided to favor the Orioles over the Phillies in the power rankings, and I'd call BS on that.
I think that it
But,
had to do with
whatever.
schedule. I don't know.
I think it
trying
has
figure
to
out
do
that
with
reasoning.
BS, but you can shut it because it's not your turn to talk. All right.
Okay. Let's see how it is.
All right. So my big
So
thing with the
anyway,
Phillies is this is exactly what we thought the Phillies could do over the last 2 seasons to start the year. Fortunately, has not been the case. What I like the most right now with the Phillies is everyone is piecing in at different points, though. We're not having necessarily games where we're having constant 10, 15 run blowouts and then maybe another game where you score 1 or 2 runs. We're having fairly consistent 5+ run outings. Some nights it's the top of the order. A lot of nights recently it's been the bottom of the order, especially with Schwarber out a couple games. Today was his first game back. Real Muta's been out a couple games. Turner's been injured now for a little over a week with his hamstring injury and won't be back for probably another 5 weeks. So to see people like Edmundo Sosa step up for the Phillies. Johan Rojas has gotten better. His average is pushing 230 now, and it was like 150, well below the Mendoza line for a lot of April. Cody Clemens has been a nice call up for the Phillies, surprisingly. So seeing the offense thrive day in and day out, I feel great. And then having the pitching constantly be as effective as it is, especially the starting rotation, like this is everything I could have dreamed of to start the season. I'm not going to say my concerns about the postseason because I'm just going to enjoy the ride right now. But this team is fully set, it looks like, to give the Braves a run for their money for the division.
Well, I think, people keep saying, oh, what are the Phillies going to do with their rotation, this and that. It's like, dude, it's a good problem to have 6 really good starters. Like, did you think you're going to get the production from Spencer Turnbull that you're getting? No. But it's been very surprising. He's been really good. Excuse me. Since Taijuan Walker's come back, he's been good. So, and then obviously you have Wheeler and Nola there, and then Ranger Suarez is arguably
and then the best pitcher in baseball,
yeah,
Ranger
I was gonna say,
Suarez.
You're front runner right now for the Cy Young. Like, I mean, you're just getting it from a lot of different scenarios right now for them. But yeah, as you said, I mean, it's not just one guy that they're relying on. It's they can go out there every night. And kind of the flip side of what I'm talking about with the Pirates, like they on any given night, somebody can go out there and be the playmaker for them. Bryson Stott's been really good recently too. So yeah, a lot there. But John, what is your perspective on the Phillies so far?
It's early. No. In all seriousness, it's very impressive what they're doing, and what they're doing is being consistent. They're in the top 5 across the National League, which is where they need to be in all the categories they need to be. They're in the bottom half in the categories they need to be in the bottom half. And then just their pitching has been lights out in terms of complete games. They're number 1 in terms of shutouts.
Another one today, baby.
Yeah, another one today. In terms of wins, they are number 1.
Muck the Fets.
In terms of ERA, they're number 2. It's all around impressive. Ranger Suarez has been, I don't know what Mike's secret stuff he's been taking before every single game, but this guy, he's just been lights out. He has a chance to go 9 innings of shutout baseball every time he takes the mound, and that's fantastic. So you have the potential here for a 3-headed dragon of Ranger Suarez, Zach Wheeler, and Aaron Nola. 1, 2, and 3. you're not really gonna score against those guys. Good luck. So yeah, for it being May, them being the number one team in baseball, good for you guys. Good job. Good job.
All right,
Yeah, you're hitting your potential. Good job.
so I'm gonna play devil's advocate now, because I want to stir the pot. So
Good luck
yes,
with
Were
this.
you hoping I would?
they started off the season so well, and this and that, and it's a nice, refreshing start for them after all the years that they haven't started
Really?
well. They this should be expected. We got to stop. Like, yo, they have the fourth highest payroll in the MLB. They have
Mhm.
superstars, this and that. Why are we stroking their ego over this when this should have been done 4 years ago? I
Why
that's
are you not stroking their ego? I mean,
like
that's the thing. The Braves and the Dodgers have been doing stuff like this constantly, and they're honestly, everyone's always pampering them. If anything, it's taken up until the beginning of May for people to finally accept, okay, the Phillies deserve the same type of pampering that the Dodgers and Braves get year round.
yeah,
Phillies have
but
always been
I
pushed
was gonna
aside
say,
as, you know what, they falter.
how many times on this show and every other like baseball show that exists is always like the Dodgers, who you expected to be the best team in the league, be the best team in the league, and they're like, oh yeah, they're just so good. Oh my God, yes, Dodgers, you're doing so good. Like, why? Of course, we should be doing this with the Philly. This is what everyone
Yeah.
expected to be, and they're living up to expectations,
no,
and
but
they're
that's
above
the
the
thing.
Braves.
No, that's the thing. So they've
Yeah,
been
I picked
so
them to
bad.
be one in the NL East. I'm just
If
saying.
they're gonna stroke their ego this year, which is fine, they're the best team in baseball. I understand that, but there has to be more of a precedent of like, look how bad they were the previous years because nobody. I mean, not that nobody expected this, right? Because they are a good team, but like there was questions about this team still coming in, and you look at that team, and again, how much they're paying players and the players they have, and it's like I feel like it's blown out of proportion with them right now. Like everybody's like, "Oh, best team in baseball," blah blah. And it's like, yeah, they should be. Like they should. They're paying their players like they should be. Why are we
Yeah,
surprised by this?
then call it like it is. That's what we're
We're not
doing. Then we're just calling it
surprised,
like
but
it
we're going to
is.
celebrate it.
I
Yeah,
mean,
We're going to call
because
it as it is.
this time last year, and remember, there has not been a ton of change between last year and this year in terms of the roster, especially in the starting. We had a couple extra pickups, a little bit of change in the pitching rotation for sure, but not a lot has changed. You know where we were this time last year? Not great at all. We had a rough go at it last year. So now that we're finally living up to expectation this early, instead of having to fight for a wild card spot and then make the run, it's great that we're starting it now so that hopefully we could be this consistent throughout the rest of the season.
no, that's what I'm saying though. It's like why are we? This should be the expectation for you guys. It's not. It
Well,
shouldn't
what
be.
you're
Oh well,
asking is a question for the Phillies of the last 2 years, though. What you're doing is complaining about the past and saying that
no.
now they're performing well. That's exactly
Yeah,
what's going on. We're
Oh,
just
I agree, but it's like why is the expectation? Why hasn't the expectation been this every year? Why hasn't the
it has
expectation
been.
been
They just haven't
we
lived up to it. So then the
we
headlines
should be
change.
we should be a top 3 team in baseball, blah, 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 this and that. Like, what was, like, the high watermark last year for their, like, worst record? Like, weren't they, like, 15 games under at some point or something? Like, I don't know if you
I don't
remember
think
well off the
quite
top of
that
your head.
bad, but they probably were more than 10 games under 500 before the
A
end of May. That's about the only thing I can think of for sure. I
and
think
look
2 years ago is the one where I think they were potentially 14 games under.
look, I'll give them credit in the front office of, like, "Hey, at least they didn't blow it up," but, you got the most pixelated friggin' picture, good for you.
What
Um
a
You
baby
got
I think I
face.
used the same
Suarez.
picture
Shut up.
earlier.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it kind of pisses me off a little bit to the extent of, like, oh, look at the Phillies. Like, dude, you literally pay your players $250 million per season. Yes, you should be good. Like, that's all I'm saying, man.
All right, so you're getting
Congrats.
mad the same way you get mad that you hear the Dodgers and the Braves all the time.
Yes. Well, I get mad in the fact that like why these teams that are paying their players absurd amounts of money, and this is a whole another topic, I guess, which we'll probably get to at some point down the line. But it's like baseball not having a salary cap pisses me the hell off because you can have teams that go out and spend, and look, they're all successful,
That's
and the
you
Phillies
saying
are
that as a
fine.
small team.
I was gonna say
No,
this sounds
that's
like a
not
salty
that.
No,
Pirates
That
I'm
fan
with him
that
on
complaining
this.
right now.
I'm
no.
with
This
him
is
on
that.
this.
This is absolutely. I've had this gripe about baseball for a long time, and why I kind of hated it for a while is because, like, dude, I mean, we already talked about it, right? The Dodgers went out and spent every single penny that they had, and then some, to make the team that they have. And I know the Phillies aren't on the same line as them with that, but they also are. Again, they have the fourth highest payroll in the league. Like, this is this is expected. Like, I don't know. I just pisses me
I
off.
would.
Right, it's expected.
So
They're performing well. Good for them.
We're
But
comparing it to the last 2 seasons. That is absolutely why the celebration is higher. This was not the case for the Phillies the past 2 seasons. They didn't hit their run until late. So it is very, very, very good and a great sign of things to come if they're starting this early. That's what it is.
I will
No,
slightly
again, I
switch the
agree.
topic quickly to what you were saying, Tyler, pertaining to the salary cap, because I'm actually not against that at all. No, it's never gonna happen. I'm fine if there was a salary cap done to make things more competitive between teams because of how drastic of a change there's been. And I know John and I have talked about this for years about what baseball can do. That being said, you also got to think about it this way about big picture. You mentioned the Dodgers, you mentioned the Phillies. Those two teams combined over the last 10 years, how many World Series have they won?
You're going into my point though. Like,
Well,
I'm
but
saying,
that's the, so
if we're
what I'm
gonna.
getting at is you're complaining right now because they're stroking the Phillies' ego because they're performing well. Great, cool. They should. They're gonna stroke the ego of whoever is doing really well in baseball. It just tends to be the Dodgers and the Braves. Now the Phillies are finally living up to the year, so they're gonna do it. And as not being the common popular team, you hate hearing the same teams over and over and over again. And I'm gonna enjoy the moment being a Phillies fan. However, it doesn't mean anything in the end because if the Pirates all of a sudden were to slip into the postseason and make the World Series, everything would change. And then you
It's
would
not
get the
even the
Pirates in
media
the
attention
postseason
though.
talking about.
It's honestly more about me having a gripe with teams being able to spend unlimited amount of money, which the Phillies have in a sense, and they're not living up to these expectations. And again, the one time in the last 3-4 years that they've kind of rebuilt stuff and this and that, it's like, look at them now, look how good they are. It's like, dude, you should have
Because
been this good. You should have been this good.
they've
Well,
always
you're talking about
but
the
they
past. You're not. Your
yeah
gripe
they
is in the
but
past.
but they've always
That's what I'm
been
saying.
no.
I
They've always been predicted though. The ranking that the Phillies got preseason is not new. What is new is them living up to expectation. That is a Phillies sports thing.
I know.
That is just what always happened. That's the story. That's why people are stroking the ego. Not because they did live up to the expectation that was set by media, experts, etc., but because they actually followed through with it, and they followed through with it early. That's the story.
But I think, okay, here's a comparison that I can make then. Like, so maybe it's more that I'm mad about the shit that they haven't got the last couple of years because it's like, oh, well, they can't compete with the Braves. It's the Braves, blah, 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 this and that.
But
And
they
it's like,
did.
but they're spending the same amount of money as the Braves. They're spending it all on these
Now we're
players.
spending more.
So, like, when it's like, oh man, well, we only had X amount of wins and we couldn't win the division because of the Braves, this and that. It's like, bro, like, that's not okay. Like, after all these years, and I'm happy for them. Great that they're doing so good now. Let's see if they can keep it up the rest of the year. But it's just the fact of, like, if you're gonna give them their flowers this year, you have to look back and really say, no, this was not acceptable from them for the last couple of years. Like, they needed to get their shit together. Thankfully, they have, but whatever.
But
It's
that
a
was the
gripe that I
headline.
have.
That was the headline for 2 months. If you don't think that wasn't said at all, you weren't paying attention to Phillies
No,
baseball the last 2 years for the first 2 months.
that there's an expectation that they should be a playoff team. I understand that. But there's this whole thing of like, oh well, they got to get past the Braves, or they got to do this or that. It's about the Braves. It's the Braves division, this and that. And it's like they should be, in my opinion, a lot closer competing wise with them. Like, I know last year they had 94 wins or whatever it was, but like it should be neck and neck the whole way. It shouldn't be they're chasing the Braves for they're 10 back of the Braves for the whole entire season. Like, no,
We already had this conversation. We've already had this. They did it, but they did it.
All right. Well, then
We've had that in the past.
let's shift our focus.
I want
now.
John to speak.
If we are done yelling at one another, I would like to weigh in.
No, I'm done yelling at Tyler. Me and Bobby are feeling good about ourselves.
As you should right now. I think Tyler, I think you're 100% right in the sense of this is where they should be. However, Bobby and Will are right in the sense of you're talking about the past. That they should have been living up to these expectations, but they didn't.
Mhm.
And they didn't. And we know that they didn't, but this year they are. In terms of the Braves and the Dodgers, we were giving them their flowers and everything. We were saying, I mean, we even said at the beginning of this season, we're not even going to say that the Dodgers aren't going to win the NL West because we know they are. On paper, they're the best team in baseball, and that's why we said on paper they're the best team in baseball. Fact of the matter is, the Phillies said, "Nope, this ain't paper," uh, and they are taking that title and they are running with it right now. Um, you don't win the World Series in May, but you can lose it in May, and clearly the Phillies are not in the business of losing it in May this year. You got to
I was already
give
planning
them
the parade
hold
personally.
hold on. All right, fair enough. You gotta give them credit for finally living up to expectations and finally doing it. Now, in terms of small market teams, my fellow small market team member, yeah, it's rather annoying. It is annoying when you have these big market teams that can, you know, suddenly spend $300 million and not blink. It's annoying. Meanwhile, we're feasting off of table scraps, it feels like. So, yeah, there is that. But, that's the nature of the game, unfortunately. And the Phillies changed their business model to make themselves a big market team. Excuse me. To my understanding, with their TV deal. Am I correct in saying that, boys?
We had a TV deal around 2016, I think, or something that is probably what really
But you were
expanded
mid-market. Yeah, you were mid-market before then. Right?
Yeah, I mean, when we won the World Series in 08, we weren't that big. I think our most expensive player when we won the World Series was only like 14 million.
Yeah. So as a small market member of this podcast, it is rather annoying when you have the Dodgers, Yankees, Braves, Phillies, Red Sox, etc., just dropping 400, 500, 600, 700, $800 million, $1 billion on their team and getting all these stars, and you're left with nothing. So it is frustrating in that sense. But yeah, the Phillies are what they should be. They are where they should be. They can celebrate for now, but we'll see how things go in October. I'll leave it at that.
I love, by the
Agreed.
way, that hearing two guys who are fans of small market teams talk, because we have one small market team that actually has a chance and is competing, and they're mad at the big market teams. And then we have the other small market team who is just mad that they're small market in general and then wants their owner to do something to make them big market.
That's a different story, though, because yes, he needs to do more. I'm not even talking about, really, the more I think about it, I just think I hate the fucking egotistical Philly fans. Not only for Phillies, but for Eagles.
Oh,
like, dude,
my
I swear to God.
Get a grip, dude.
He's talking the wrong there.
I think the real story is don't be a Pirates fan in Philly country.
God, you throw batteries one time and it's a big issue and no one can let it go. And everyone thinks Philly fans are these terrible people. Meanwhile, everybody else is doing it. You see what's happening in Boston right now with the NHL? Like, what?
No, this is
because he got so heated he cut himself off.
I say this all the time. There was a while back when the Eagles were not who they are now. They would be like, they'd win the first 2 games of the season against the fucking
Eagles.
No, listen. This goes to my point.
This is a baseball podcast.
They'd win the first 2 games of the season against absolute scrubs, right? And you'd go on to everything after, like social media and all this, and it was like, we're going to the Super Bowl, blah, 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 this and that. Dude, it's the same thing with the Phillies. Like, they're finally good for once, and everybody's like, all over them. That's my
Hold
point.
on. This
All
is
right.
this is very different, I think. They
I have
are
a lot.
they
I
are
think.
Do you not
beating
know
I think
what
I
They
have
being
a
a
also
lot
went
of.
to
fan
the World
is?
Series
Like,
2
what
years
the
ago.
hell are you
And we're
talking
in the
about?
I
championship.
think
Yeah.
I think I have a lot of
Actually,
pent up
Bobby, to be fair,
rage.
I think as a Pirates fan, he does understand that. He does. He
No,
does get that
because
perspective
brother, this is
'cause he
no, no,
knows
no.
the
This is
he
the
No,
knows
guy
the
you
who is in
wheels
have
are
charge
going
of
to fall off.
planning the
He
show.
knows
This is the
that.
guy who's in charge of planning the show. What was the first topic of the show today?
No, that
What was the first
Will.
topic?
That was Will today. Defend me.
You would have put it in here
No,
regardless.
I wouldn't have. I put the best for last, not first, if I had a choice.
Right, but look, I think you just have to have perspective as a fan, and Philly fans lack that. Okay.
I disagree. I think that this is their
I
perspective.
totally.
They're the
I
best
am
team in
begging you to get a
baseball.
grip.
I think
Not-
Tyler
Oh
is
my God.
slowly dropping.
This
his,
narrative,
like,
this
credibility
narrative
the
is
more
just
he
so
says things.
stupid.
No, that dude,
Yeah.
I
the-
really just. It's really
They
Eagles
are-
fans more than Phillies fans, but yeah.
They are
Brother,
where
I
they
implore-
should
I
be.
Shooting
implore
himself in
you.
the foot the more he speaks.
Bro, I implore you to go watch that urinate tree video talking about the Pirates fan base. You want to see how bad it really is? You should know, but apparently you don't. So I encourage
But
you to
they
go
have
educate yourself on the
perspective.
team you
They
say
have
you're a fan of.
I don't think you do have perspective.
I
I
apparently
don't
called
think
Paul
you do.
Stevens
I
Hall
don't
of
think
Fame.
so either.
What happened?
You don't. You have the perspective of a jaded baseball fan
No.
who has been shit on for the long time, and we have the Phillies and the Orioles on this podcast of who we are fans of that are doing well, and have done well in the past decade.
Wait,
The Pirates have
wait,
not.
hold on. There is no chance I'm hearing a guy who's a fan of the Orioles talk down to another small market team like he's doing right now, just
We're
because
supposed to be
they found a
banded
little bit of
brothers.
success. That is
Hold on a
wild.
minute.
There's no way. I just heard that.
Hold on a minute. I am putting this in perspective as a fellow small market
Man,
team.
it's okay that you didn't win. Maybe you'll win next time, like we did the past 2 years. That's crazy, dude.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Dude, the small market teams are battling each other. How do you small market teams have to unionize? Stop fighting with each other. Go after the big market teams together, and maybe you'll have a chance.
You know what,
Just become
Tyler?
a-
I'm
God,
on
the
your side
civil
again.
war happening on the BLB podcast. Damn.
I'm on your side again.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. All right, let's shift our focus over to the Braves though quickly, because the Braves they've been fine, but they're not leading the division, so it's a whole thing for them because whatever, I'm over it. The Braves are not where they want to be because they're below the Phillies. Will, I'm going to ask you straight up: by the end of the year, are the Phillies winning this division as of right now, or is it still the Braves? And who is beating their mic?
I'm Bobby. What are you doing? What are you doing over there?
Yes.
It's
The
not
Phillies will
me.
be up
My
by-
mic is muted.
Phillies will be
It's
up
one
by
of
a
you
couple games
guys.
where it is now.
Phillies over. How about you, John? Phillies over the Braves by the end of the year.
I picked them from the start to be
Oh.
over the Braves. So
No,
I had
well,
it
I think
2 games the other way, but right now, given the Phillies look and the Braves having some injuries and / underperforming from their top players,
Yeah.
they'll right the ship. But the Phillies, I think, right now are going to hold steady and still be up by a couple games. But hey,
But
this might
doesn't
be what
that
the Braves
scare
need.
you? But doesn't that scare you though for the Braves because they have struggled and they're still where they're at? Like Acuna hasn't been the player he's going to turn it around. You can't tell me otherwise. He's going
all
to
right. Hold on a minute.
turn it around.
I want to point this out.
Now Tyler's right. Move on.
No, I just want to point this out because it baffles me. Baseball Reference has the Braves making the playoffs 99.5%. What is the Phillies? 98.1%. How were they? I don't understand. How
Schedule, future schedule, most likely.
I guess, but still, you gotta factor these things in of the Phillies being the best team in baseball right now.
But still in defense of the Braves, it's still only a 2.5 game difference. It's easy if there was a series up ahead where the Phillies got swept and the Braves swept that things would flip. I mean, it's just going to be like that the entire season.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, as a Phillies fan, doesn't that scare you a little bit? Because you're arguably playing the best baseball that you have. The Braves are not playing great baseball, and they're still 25-13 and 2.5 games back. Like, that's my
Still being
point.
So this is what
competitive.
I'll say really quick. Well, so here's what for the Phillies. What I like right now is I can think of maybe 3 or 4 guys that I'd say are very overperforming right now. For the most part, a lot of the team is actually at par of what we expected. If anything, some are worse. And so to know that the team is performing about where I'd expect them when I look at their individual stats and they're getting these results, I feel great. As for the Braves, I do fully believe their offense is going to flip the script. Riley, Olsen, Acuna are all going to do what they've done in the past just because their track records are too good not for that to happen. I do have questions that the starting rotation will be able to kind of hold out its success that it's done. But I see the Braves' strength is right now. Their offense is good, but their starting pitching is really, really good. So maybe later in the season that might flip a little bit where the starting pitching slacks a bit, but then the offense picks it up. And so that's where the Braves have that kind of piggyback right now to help save them. If they can truly get both to connect, especially around postseason baseball, then yes, that's terrifying because they don't have Spencer Strider and they're still putting up numbers like they have in the past. But the Phillies right now seem very solid all around with what they are, with even a couple players that could do better. And so therefore I feel confident that they can strive forward barring any major injuries in addition to what they already have.
Well, I do agree in the sense that I think if you're looking at something to maybe regress for the Braves, it would be the starting pitching. But like I said, I mean, you kind of look at their batting numbers, and it's like, you know, these aren't going to stay this way.
Mhm.
Acuna's
Yeah.
been very average this year. He's only got 3 home runs, and like we didn't expect that. Marcell Ozuna, like, I mean, he's been really carrying that team. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I just feel like, again, if I'm like the Phillies, I think the Phillies are not thinking this way, or really their fans. But it's like, I guess, yes, the start's been really good, and I think you're setting yourself up perfectly to make the postseason. I'm just saying, like, I guess from a standpoint of the Braves catching you in the division, like, they're playing, again, not great ball for their standards, and they're only a few back. And again, I feel like, for the Phillies, it does feel like they're playing a little bit above their skill, so, or at least their track record, I should say. So interested to see that. But like, I know a lot of the networks have kind of been like, they're doing their power rankings after the quarter of the season, and I've seen like some that have like the Braves like way down there, like some out of the top 5, and I'm like, dude, the Braves
No.
have been too good for the past a long time for that to be the case. Like, they're gonna turn it around, and yeah, I fully expect that. It's nice that the Phillies have started the way they will, because maybe that does actually mean that we'll have a competitive division race throughout the season. I will say that, which is going to make the baseball really fun in that division, especially when those two teams meet up. But yeah, man, it's been great for the Phillies, and again, hopefully for their sake they can keep it up. But don't count out those Braves.
What kind words for you to say about the Phillies?
I know, I'm always so nice to them too, and like their fans, and I
And their
just
fans, and their fans. I mean,
and
just
I
kind words. Like, you should give their eulogy if they ever all died in a fire.
Jesus Christ.
Remember, fans is short for fanatics, and that I don't think that sums up Philly more than fanatic.
They're
Don't
just
make me
crazy
fanatic
people.
you again.